I know that this would be speculation on my part, but I have come to believe that between chapter 7 of the book of Romans and chapter 8, that the Apostle Paul set aside the law. Now, you see, Pastor, what are we talking about here? But if you go into chapter 8 and you come to verse number 7, you find this is what the Apostle Paul states. He said, because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. So basically, if I'm interpreting this right, that he's just saying that the law is made up of flesh. In other words, here are some do's and don'ts. Now, I'm not setting aside in my own mind the Ten Commandments. I think they're wonderful. I think that they're something we should adhere to. But he says here are the law, and the law is something that you would obey in your flesh. And what he's discovering here is what he said to us in the opening statement of chapter 8 of the book of Romans. There's there now no condemnation to them who are in Christ Jesus. That's a powerful statement. It comes a long way from what we find in chapter 7, oh, wretched man that I am. I mean, something happened here. And I believe it has to do with a lot of things. There in the city of Antioch, when Barnabas went to get Saul, who later became Paul, brought him back there, brought him involved in the ministry. Both of them were growing in their faith and their walk, and God said, separate me, Paul and Barnabas, from the rest of the church. I have a mission for them. And oh my goodness, this mission was life transforming, and literally became the vehicle that God used to take the gospel outside of Jerusalem, outside of Antioch, to the world. But God was doing a lot of things in those days. And he was changing a lot of mindsets from those who lived in Jerusalem. Those who lived in Jerusalem, they were around the law all the time. It was very difficult for them to separate themselves from all of the teachings from the temple and the priest. And even though they were now followers of Christ, that influence was very, very strong. And I've made this statement before, that it would seem like that in order to become a Christian, you had to first become a Jew. And all of these things were coming into a different mindset, different thought out here in these outer regions as God is speaking to these men, Paul and Barnabas, and he's revealing that the gospel is not just for the Jews, but for all mankind, because the work of the redemption of Jesus Christ was to bring all men to salvation. This is Pastor Jack King with the gospel on the radio broadcast.